Ahoy there, friends!
Ciao!
In this episode of Sailing Britaly, we continue sailing along the coast of Liguria. Whilst anchored, we see waterspouts and a dragging anchor.
And Chris talks about heaving to, cutting rope and stowing lines neatly in a cockpit locker.
We continue where we left off last time, sailing towards Rapallo. Feels like we're going fast. Well, maybe not. We've just hove to with the boat, so it's a test that we're doing. Basically, it's a really useful technique for lots of different reasons. If you want to make some food, if you need a break for whatever reason, perhaps your new baby needs some attention and you both need to be dealing with that rather than being in charge of the boat. So probably most of you know this already, but if you don't, for the kind of newcomers to sailing, I'm pretty much a newcomer myself too, so I'm not exactly the best instructor, but we've managed to do this. So basically you tack the boat, but you leave the head sail in its original position, so you don't change that to the new tack, you leave it where it is. And then there's a little bit of tweaking to do to get things balanced nicely. Then you eventually end up with the tiller hard over to one side, and the boat sits like this. It kind of wiggles its way into and away from the wind, and you generally travel sideways or slowly forwards. You just kind of track sideways through the water, not going very quickly. So again, it settles down the movement on the boat. Everything's nice and calm, and nobody needs to be in control of any of the sails or the tiller, so it frees everybody up to do whatever you want to do. So it's great.
Me and Chris, who were supposed to share a banana, the last banana, he thought we had one each. So this is what I have, but it's better than nothing. In any case, we have other fruit, but it's funny because this is part of my banana.
Sorry, darling.
Nope.
Yeah, that reminds me of the time about 10 years ago when we were eating a cherry bakewell. I don't know if you know what they are, but if not, Google it if you're really interested. Anyway, there was a cherry on top. We were in Greece.
Yeah.
Okay, we were in Greece apparently, and we were eating that cherry bakewell, and Rossella, we were kind of sharing it, and Rossella had put the cherry down because I thought she didn't want it. I just picked it up, put it in my mouth, and then she went, "Oh no, my cherry!" And then basically that was 10 years ago, and she never lets me forget that. So this is another cherry moment.
Avviso di burrasca emesso alle 12:00 UTC.
With bad weather forecast, we wanted to find ourselves a nice secure anchorage, and from the nautical chart, Rapallo looked like the perfect place. There was plenty of room to anchor, and there was protection from waves of all directions. However, once we got in through the breakwater and had a good look around, it was evident that the area that we wanted to anchor in was actually full of boats on mooring buoys, so there was no room for us to anchor there. There was only one thing for it: turn around and go and find ourselves another anchorage.
It was a similar story in the next two bays. They would have made good anchorages, but they were full of mooring buoys.
Fortunately, Santa Margherita has a very large bay, and even though there is a buoyed off area for swimmers, a ferry pontoon and quite a large marina, there is still plenty of room left for boats to anchor. Yeah, that's properly dug in this time, first time. And as there's a bit of dodgy weather forecast, obviously we wanted to be sure of that.
Gale force 8 in the Corsican Sea.
This is our quick lunch that I've just made, as it's 4:45, so it's a bit late. It's a very easy recipe.
Yeah, as you know, I ate 3/4 of banana during the journey here. Rossella had 1/4 of a banana, and we both had an apple, a whole apple each. So this is avocado. I don't know if I can open one without it falling apart, but basically, underneath,
No, you can't.
You can't really see, but basically it's avocado, olive oil, some salt, and some chili powder, and lemon juice, cheddar slices, and it's yummy, dead quick, and quite nutritionally good as well, I guess.
Usually we put all... Oh my god, our lunch!
And no, it's just mine. And they're also even tastier.
Oh my god!
If you add add a little bit of teak, makes them taste nicer.
I was actually saying that usually we put some spread cheese. Oh my god, Chris! God, what a man is like.
Clumsy skipper, yeah.
Okay, now we're gonna eat before he make all my lunch falling into the sea. Good morning, Chris. How was your night?
Yeah, it's been good.
Rolling around.
Yeah, a little bit rolly, but we've had worse, haven't we? What's happening then, darling?
Looks like it'll be a bit stormy soon.
We've been in the boat. We're not going ashore at the moment because it's a bit too rough for us to be comfortable to leave. And it looks as though there's a little bit of a storm inbound shortly. So we're just hanging around on the boat, waiting for that to pass. This sailboat you can see just there in the distance, they were anchored here with us last night. They were over just there between those two boats. And a little while ago, probably about an hour ago, right?
Yeah.
They left set out to sea, and they're now coming back, so we're guessing that they're probably going to re-anchor again, and they probably weren't enjoying the conditions out there. Our friends over there have just set their anchor and then pulled back on it to check it was set, and it dragged. So I'm presuming they're going to want to re-anchor. The weather I was talking about before has actually hit over in that direction and hasn't come here. However, the winds just started gusting to about 30 knots, and our friends there aren't anchored yet, and at the moment they're dragging towards the beach. We're keeping our fingers crossed for them. Neighbours are just dropping the anchor again there. Let's see how they get on this time. This isn't going to be easy to film because I'm on a moving boat. However, in the distance there, centre screen, a long way away, there's a waterspout. So just, there you are, centre screen there. Hopefully you can see that. Way off in the distance, there's a waterspout, and actually there's another one just to the left, where the land meets the sea. Pretty cool. I don't know what it'd be like to sail next to one or in one, that might not be so cool, but from a nice distance like this, interesting to see. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Oh, better.
Good. And what are you looking forward to?
Good to land.
Yeah, going ashore. We're going to be able to go ashore today. Woohoo! So we're looking forward to that. I'll get the coffee on now, and then shortly we'll get our little tender out and go and have a look around. Right then, let's get this tender out. time for us to have a shower. And before we do that, I'm going to have a quick bath in the sea. So depending on where we are, we've got lots of privacy. You can do this out on the swim platform. In this case, a bit more people around, so we're going to put a couple of towels up, and then basically you just use very little water and have a shower in the cockpit. I forgot to mention you can use biodegradable soap doing this, then you're not hurting the environment around you. We found this fender in the sea a few months ago, and it's really useful. It's good for the tender. The rope on it though is a little bit short, so I'm just going to put a new rope on that now, and I just thought I'd show you something while I'm doing that. I'll show you how I cut the rope, and also line, if you want to be really particular about how you name things. But one thing that I do is inside the locker here, I've got some sticks of wood, some batons which run across sideways, and then all I do is I tie the rope on like that, the line, and then it's very easily accessible. Another thing that I do is I've measured this in the past. It's 35 metres, and I've just got a bit of tape on there that says 35 metres on it, so I know exactly how much rope I've got there without having to count it out again next time. And I'm cutting off a couple of metres, so I've measured it 1, 2 metres, that's 2 metres, and then I'm going to cut it. I always use a hot knife, which is just basically a blowtorch, a handy tool to have on board anyway, for lots of different reasons. An old knife. Get nice and hot without setting fire to the boat. And then you can just cut straight through the rope, and the hot knife seals it at the same time. Ta-da, done. And then when I put this back in the locker, it's got 35 metres written on it, and I know next time exactly how much rope I've got, and I can just continue to do that. Anyway, something simple but might be handy for somebody. I've been travelling a few days now on this tank, and you can see we've not used particularly very much. However, as we're going ashore, we're going to take the jerry can with us and fill it up. There's an emergency underway at the moment inside the boat. Rossella has lost the back of one of her earrings, or it might have been me that lost it. Alright, Rossella's blaming me for it because I took her glasses case out before and some bits dropped out. So yeah, it was probably me. Anyway, so we're frantically searching for the back of an earring in the boat. Anyway, so we're going to be taking the jerry can ashore. I just thought I'd show you. There we are, there's that little repair I made on the start of the trip, and it's held out really well, so that's a useful thing to know if you ever get a little hole in your water jerry can. So looking forward to getting ashore. We'll be leaving shortly. Quite exciting, seeing a new place for the first time. I think I got at least half of that in there anyway.
We're doing a different meal for today. It's 11:30, so we want to go ashore. So we're just doing a big bowl with muesli, crunchy muesli, Greek yogurt, melon, and how you call it?
Squirty cream.
Woo!
I'm going to put the cream on because Rossella always exaggerates and puts too much. Go on, don't be shy.
Delicious.
we got two. If you just hang on here if you can, I'll get the camera back. Join us next time as we explore Santa Margherita and then continue our journey along the coast of Italy.
If you haven't already, subscribe and click on the bell to enable notification so you don't miss our next video.
Ciao!
Ciao!